What's up, everyone? Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Chris. So let's go ahead and talk about what I read for the month of October. I think I got through, what is it, 7 books? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 books. Thought it was 7, but whatever. I got through 6 books. It wasn't a great reading month, to be honest with you. I was a little disappointed in my choices and my picks. So yeah, but we'll talk about it and let me know if you've read any of these books, and if you have any different opinion than I do. So let's go ahead and get started, and let me tell you what I've been reading. Okay, I am back, and we are going to talk about what Chris has read for the month of October. So, like I said in my intro there, it wasn't a good month. Wasn't a good reading month, you guys. I'm going to start with the first one here, and the last. No, I'm going to start with what I started. Yeah, I'll save the good one for the last. So let's just talk about the ones that weren't so good. Well, some of them were just, no, and there's only two. Okay, one that was really, really bad. The rest were they were okay. All right. So you know what? Then we'll start with the really, really bad one first. And this was a shocker for me. I did not expect it to be that bad, because I like this author very much, and I've read quite a few of her books, and that is The Boyfriend by Frieda Mcfadden. Now, I think it's very possible that the reason I disliked this one so much was the narrator of the book. There were two. There was a female and a male. It was painful. The narration was so bad, so juvenile. I felt like I was listening to two high school kids talking. Even there was some that did go back a little bit to like younger years, but in the forward years when they're adults, oh my God. I don't like to not finish a book when I've started it. And I've done it a couple times and it bothers me. So lately I've just been suffering through and just finishing the book, and this was a struggle. So this girl, Sydney, she's a single woman in New York, having a hard time finding a mate, and she's been going on dating websites. She meets a guy, and he's so fantastic and wonderful, but there's somebody getting killed out. There's women getting murdered out there, and the police have found that they think it's related to online dating, and that this person is like intentionally killing people. So she starts to suspect that it might be her boyfriend who's a killer. And sounds like it could be a good story, right? Maybe if it was in print and not audible, I might have enjoyed it. That's all I could tell you about it, really. It was just stupid. So bad that, and I was so angry for wasting a credit on it. I happened to read something, a blurb somewhere about somebody returning, getting credits back. And I thought, oh, sure enough, you could give your books back and receive the credit back. So I returned it. And I got my credit back. So I didn't know you could do that on Audible. So that was a nice surprise. I'm like, good, now I got my credit back for the stupid book that I didn't even like. So yeah, keep that in mind. If you use Audible, you can give a book back if, you want to. All right, then I read, let's see, The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This wasn't a bad book. This was a good book. It was a little slow. So basically, it's about a 13-year-old girl who goes missing at camp. The girl is Barbara Van Laar, and she's from a very prominent, wealthy family, and they also own this camp. And she happens to be kind of like a troubled girl. She's got like discipline problems, I think, or what's the word I can't think of the word I'm looking for. Not discipline problems, attitude, whatever, that type of thing. And there's a lot of family secrets involved in this book. And ironically, her brother disappeared as well 14 years earlier. So, yeah, there's a lot of like family secrets and things like that going on. Mom's an alcoholic, but she's got her own issues that she deals with, her own demons. So, in the marriage and whatnot, and her childhood, her younger years. So, yeah, all in all, it was a good book. Yeah, I would recommend this book. It was good. It would be one worth checking out. Then I did a book called Triptych by Karen Slaughter. And that's like it's actually a series of books. It's the Will Trent series. He is works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. He's a detective, and he's dyslexic. Don't ask. It comes into play with the books. A decent book, decent story. It's a crime thriller type thing. Each story is different. I did purchase the first one, which is Triptych, and then I noticed there was a 4-book collection after that, books 2, 3, no, or was it 3 books? 2, 3, and 4. And it was like cheap. It was like not cheap. It didn't matter because I didn't buy it, but I figure I could use, it was 1 credit. So 1 credit for $3. I thought, well, why not? So I did buy the other books that are in the series. I don't remember. I don't know how many books total. There's quite a few. But this is kind of like the introductory book. So you're starting to get to know the characters, and he's called on to a case where these prostitutes are getting murdered. It's like this one dealt with sex crimes. It touched very lightly on pedophilia, but not, it wasn't written about like bluntly, we'll just put it that way. So yeah, and Will Trent, the case he's on, he's also with there's another character, Angie. She is a what do they call those undercover like police women who go out like they pretend they're prostitutes. I can't think what they're called. Oh my god, I'm so bad at this. See, I told you I could read a book, but I have a hard time conveying back what it's, what it all entailed. So anyway, but they go way back to childhood. They were both in kind of like a home together. So they're very close, and they've dated on and off and had relationships. So there's a little side romance, old romance, new romance there, but they're still very good friends, and, they always look out for each other. And so there's that little story there, which continues on into the next book, and I don't know how many further, but you'll see. I'm talking the other book because I read the second one too. Yeah, so it was a good, police crime book. And the second book is called Fractured, and that's where I'm just looking down here because I'm trying to read some of my notes. Teenage girl goes missing. They don't know if she's dead or alive. But the parents, and it starts right out in the beginning of the book. The parents live in a fairly wealthy neighborhood, and they're getting calls, like ransom calls, and Will Trent is trying to track down the murderer. Her friend was also killed, and then there's a few bodies showing up. And so I can't really get into it anymore than that because I don't want to give too much of the story away. Again, another police crime type book, but focused based on this Will Trent character, who is kind of what the series is all modeled after. Okay, then we've got All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. You know, this sat on my wish list for a long time, and I was quite looking forward to reading it because it was getting a lot of, hype, and I thought, okay, storyline looked interesting, and, I thought this would be good. And all in all, what I can say is the storyline is good, and the plot, everything was very good. Basically, it's 1975, and this teenage girl, who's the daughter of a very wealthy family, Misty, oh my God, Saint is the other character. Misty, she almost gets abducted. And Patch, the boy in the book, I think they're about, I think they were about 14. And these kids all go to school together. So he happens to stumble in. Patch comes from a very poor family. His mom, it's just him and his mom. He's only got one eye. That's why he's called Patch. His mom is, alcoholic, whatnot. I don't know if she did drugs too, but anyway. He stumbles as he's walking home. He takes an off-beaten path, and he comes across Misty, and she's, this man is going to abduct her, and he tells her, run, run. He takes her, pulls her away from the man, and he starts fighting back with this guy, and he's telling her to run, go. Now Patch ends up missing. Now, the other character in the book, Saint, is Patch's best friend. Saint is a girl, and her and Patch are like besties. And so she's devastated. She's doing everything she can to find her friend. And, she's going to the police station. She won't leave the police station. She's hanging out there and yada, yada, and looking for him. And, again, I don't want to tell too much about the story. But let's just say that this book carries through 3 decades. So, a lot goes on. A lot happens. However, what I had a hard time with was the writing. I understand, you want to use the English language and write beautiful things with it. And I could appreciate that. However, it didn't end. Every scene, every dialogue was just flowery, mundane words, and it was just like, oh my God, enough. What is going on? And it was so much so that I found myself getting confused, because he would just drone on and on and on with these long sentences that were just beautiful words, and I'm like, I can't. I had a hard time following this book. But if I have to break it down piece by piece, there was really a good story here to be told. But it shouldn't have taken 14 hours to tell it. Yeah, I'd say that you probably could have made this a 10-hour book easy. The words were just too much. Description after description after description. It's one thing to describe a scene, it's another thing to write a chapter on just the scene, like the feelings and the emotions, and it didn't stop. So I struggled with that. It was too much. Too much. This book could have easily been 10 hours. You could take 4 hours off that if you just cut his words. So basically, all in all, it's a really good book. No, it's a really good story. I just didn't care for the way it was told. The narrator was Edoardo Ballerini. He's an excellent narrator. I've listened to other books that he's done, and they're really good. He's really good. So basically, it's just a missing person mystery / serial killer book. Because it is a serial killer book, and a mystery type thing. So I think the book could have been so much better because the story was there, the characters were there, the story was there, the plot was there. There was just too much words, too many words in there, and I found myself getting lost because I was just like, and I'd start to daydream a little bit, and I'm like, oh, I gotta rewind it because I don't know, I may have missed something, and I'd rewind it, and I'd be like, no, I didn't miss anything. He's just still talking about the color of her eyes. That's what really, it was too much. I mean, we talk about paragraphs of somebody's eyes. Anyway, I mean, I'm using that just as an example. I don't remember if there was something about somebody's eyes in there, but that's what it would be like. That's what the description was like. You could write a beautiful sentence on somebody's eyes in a manner, or you could describe what you're seeing in somebody's eyes in 2 sentences, not 4 chapters. Just get my drift. It's too much. All right. The best book that I read out of all of them was A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. This was a really good book. Also, and I want to see, because I didn't even check the dates. I don't know when this book was released or anything, but it looked interesting to me, and I thought, I'm going to read that book. It's going to be a TV series on Paramount, probably like one of those miniseries things. And I'm very anxious to watch it. So I got to see if that's even been released yet. Anyway, the book had humor. There's a bit of historical fiction to it. That's the only issue that's the only struggle I had with the book was it's based in Russia. I don't know. I know very little of Russian history. So when they would talk about the history part of this, I kind of struggled a little bit because I don't know much about it. I'm, embarrassed to say that, wasn't a historical thing I ever had an interest in, right? In that type of history. But now that I've read this book, I'm kind of curious. I'd like to learn a little bit about it. So basically, it's 1922. And the main character is Count Alexander Rostov. And he gets sentenced by, the Bulachek, I think they called it, or something. I don't know who they are. Because I don't know the Russian stuff. He gets sentenced to life in prison, so to speak, but basically he's on house arrest, and he gets house arrest in a luxury hotel across the street from the Kremlin, and if he were to step 1 foot outside the hotel, he'd get shot to death immediately on the street. And the hotel's called the Metropole. I don't know if I said that. So he's taken from being a aristocrat to living in a small attic room in this hotel. Never worked a day in his life, but he's a gentleman, and he interacts every day with the rest, some people who, reside in the hotel, the workers of the hotel, the guests that come in, and he befriends early on in the story a young little girl named Nina. She was probably, I think she might have been about 6, but she was wise beyond her years, and they'd have conversations, and he had there's many relationships in the book with people, and there's many characters, and each character has their own little, I don't know, nuances about them. It's a lovely story. It's entertaining. It was funny. It was heartfelt, which is unlike me, but I don't usually read heartfelt books, but this had a lot of things going on in it. And, yeah, I enjoyed this book very much. And I'm trying to think, I think this went all the way through to like the 1950s. So through the years, things are happening in Moscow and Russia, and that is touched upon in the book that I don't really know about. Don't really understand, because I never really, like I said, I never really got into Russian history. So, yeah, A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. And very good book. I think I'm going to pick up, he also wrote a book called The Lincoln Highway that is supposed to be very good. So I think I'm going to pick that book up at some point to read. Let's see, I finished that book probably about a week ago or so, and I thought I'm going to give it a break for a little bit from listening, because the next book I want to read, or I'm going to read, I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's a classic, and it is 47 or 48 hours, and I'm really excited for this book. So I wanted to give my brain a rest and ramp up for this big one. And so I'm figuring I'm going to try to listen to some of it while I'm on vacation, and it'll be a while. So I'm going to say the month of November is probably going to be a light reading month, because I think that book's going to take a while to finish. Because, as I said before, when I come back from vacation, I've got to start work again 5 days a week in the office, because I have to train somebody. So I'm going to be doing that for a while. So obviously I'm not going to be listening to books while I work, because I'm training somebody, right? So I'll be talking all day. I love doing that. Anyway, so November will probably be a light listening month. I'm just going to say it might just be that one book. And if it's as good as what I hear, I'll probably have a lot to say about it. Anyway, that was my reading for October. So let me know, have you read any of these books, and what were your thoughts on them? Do you agree with me or disagree? Yeah, let me know in the comments below. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time you take out of your day, your lives, your busy schedule, and you watch a video I've uploaded. It means everything to me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Helps the YouTube algorithms and makes my channel grow. All right, so have a great day, great week, great night, whenever you have to be watching, and we'll chat again real soon. Bye.